It is an interesting time of the year. It is going to be interesting to see how people have changed their views heading into 2025. I'd have to say that 2025 is a year of a reasonable amount of uncertainty because we have the normal business cycle uncertainty, but on top of that, we've got an added amount of policy uncertainty because, obviously, of President Trump. But the broad outlook is that we sort of still think that it's going to be a year of US dominance. US economy looks like the one to be in right now. It's going to be a year of interest rate cuts. I think the markets are probably a little bit cautious on how far the Fed can cut interest rates. It's going to be a year in which the dollar probably strengthens. It's a year which makes some extra headwinds for emerging markets. It's a year where we're going to continue watching to see what happens with China, whether they do come out with that big consumption-based stimulus. And it's going to be a year where we probably see that the European Central Bank is the most aggressively easing central bank in the world.
OK, that's a great round robin. Plenty to digest there as well. How strong is the US economy, Andrew? If it is, which is seemingly coming into the tail end of 2024, pretty strong as well. And then I see headlines like this. US credit card defaults jumped to their highest level since 2010. I'll just fill in a bit of detail on this for our viewers. Credit card lenders wrote off $46 billion in seriously delinquent loan balances in the first 9 months of 2024. That is up 50% over the same period a year ago. Is the US economy and the US consumer in fine fettle, or are they creaking at the edges?
I think the US economy is slowing. Like 2024 was extraordinary. 2.5% above trend GDP growth after the Fed had raised interest rates by the most since Paul Volcker. That was an amazing outcome. And you'd have to say a big chunk of that was supply side driven, particularly the huge surge in immigration that happened over 2023 and 2024. Lots of new workers, lots of new consumption coming into the US economy. Plus you have the tail end effects of all the extra consumption from those pent up savings after COVID. So I think the story of 2025 is going to be a slowdown. You've pointed out there is a lot of interest rate stress in certain pockets of the market, particularly low-income consumers, and that's the story that's going to continue to play out through the year. And it's a question of how much does the Fed ease and how much does that interest rate burden start to ease. I think the US economy is slowing. We've got things like tariff uncertainty, plus when tariffs actually do happen, that'll be a negative. And the positive, we've got the boost, the confidence of the Trump Republican victory. We know there's going to be a deregulation agenda. There's the possibility of tax cuts coming through as well. So it's a real mixture heading into 2025. I think what it means is we see the US economy slowing. We see the unemployment rate picking up a little bit. We see inflation coming back down close to the Fed's target. So the Fed will ease by more than markets are currently pricing, I would imagine. But I think that's the story. And the question is it going to be trend like 2% or is it going to be a sub-trend like 1.5%? And I think we'll see the economy settle in that 1.5% to 2% range.